like modality and how she came to be. But before we get started, we here at Wine About It, of course, drink a bunch of wine and love to talk wine. So I want to know, drop in the comments, what are you sipping on? If you're sipping on wine, awesome sauce. If it's not wine, that's totally cool too. I'm going to tell you what I've got in my glass. So I have a Shiraz. It is where's my bottle? It's right here. Tattoo Estates Shiraz. It is from Lodi, California. Very like jammy, fruit forward, like smoky awesomeness. I would say this is great with like pizza. This is great with any sort of like anything with like a tomato sauce. It would also go like super awesome with like steak and barbecue, and like any like a sweet barbecue sauce would be like super fire with that. You would like it if you like red wines and you don't mind a little touch of sweetness, a touch of fruitiness. And if you're someone that's trying to get into red wines, I'd actually recommend this as like a starter red, because it's not super tannic, it's not super like bitter or anything like that. And like I said before, it's got that jammy sweetness to it. So if you want to take a look at that, you can always go to winedivatiara.com or send me a message and I will give you some more info on the wine stuff. But yeah, so before we get like all down to the nitty gritty, we got to do some intros. So those who are not familiar with me, I'm Tiara, aka T, the Wine Diva. And I love bringing joy into your life by bringing a glass of wine and talking about all sorts of good, fun, amazing things. I've been in the wine industry for over 5 years, so I'm comfortable and confident in giving you recommendations and pairings because, I drink a lot of wine and it's a really hard job, but somebody's got to do it. I love it. I'm also a certified life and business coach, and I love to help guide people through their journey to success and live their best lives. And today I have with me Jen Kohler, who is just an amazing numerologist. Is it life mastery coach?
I am a Reiki master teacher.
Reiki master teacher, and I think there's one more thing. What is it?
And I am a self-mastery coach.
That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So can you talk a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do?
Well, luckily I love to talk about myself. So hello, everybody. I am so glad to be here. If we haven't met yet, my name is Jen Kohler. I am a numerologist. I am a Reiki master teacher of 15 years. I am a self-mastery coach. I've been coaching my clients for 16 years. I've been in practice for 16 years. So I love to help women, particularly women, but I love men as well. But I love to help people to fall in love with themselves, to know themselves, to really understand who they are and how they walk through the world. And that is what lights me up. And that is what shifts the vibration of the planet. And that is how we shift our consciousness. This is what I am all about. So that is me in a little tiny nutshell.
Awesome. So let's get started with like how did you how did you start your spiritual journey?
That is a beautiful question. I have always been on a spiritual journey. I am a lifetime spiritual journey. I did not grow up with any sort of religion or church. So literally, as I was like just starting to emerge as a human, I would talk about what I thought. And my mom always called it the Jenny religion. And it's always looked like this. It's always looked like, Mom, God is right here within me. And she'd be like, okay, honey, like, but then fast forward many years of my life, and I lived on a hippie commune. I found Reiki at the hippie commune. And that was sort of my first foray into energy work and like that sort of work. And then I moved to Colorado and I became a massage therapist, a birth doula, which is very spiritual. And then I found Reiki, or should I say, Reiki found me. So I found Reiki in 2004 and I became certified in 2005. And it's just been my path. I mean, it's been the path that I've been walking ever since. And one becomes masterful by doing something for thousands of hours. And so I am officially masterful, and that feels really good. I teach Reiki. I do a Reiki school. And to me, Reiki doesn't have to be spiritual. It isn't inherently spiritual. However, I have found deep spiritual practice within Reiki, deep mindfulness, meditation. All of those things have really evolved from my Reiki practice and my understanding of universal law through Reiki. So that is that's my Reiki journey, my spiritual journey.
I love that. I
It's
love that. So you
beautiful.
mentioned universal law. So in one of our sessions, because I do work with Jen, you mentioned that there are multiple laws. Like I think a lot of people are very familiar with the law of attraction and manifesting. Can you talk a little bit about how many other laws there are and like, how to start learning more about them and how to leverage them for our lives?
So I love this question because I started becoming interested in universal law back in the commune day, right? Like I
Hmm.
remember I wrote down like, I don't know, 7 spiritual truths, which are our universal law. And I have carried them around with me for like 20 years and like tacked them to every board that I've ever lived on. I think that they're inherently like within us, they're embodied within us, and we just have to remember them. So there are literally hundreds of universal laws. I know very well and have embodied 12, maybe a few more than that.
Hmm.
And I and there are 25 universal laws that are really, really important. Um, in 2018, I went through a year-long universal law certification. So I actually got certified as a life and business coach in the universal laws. And it's taken me 2 full years to really understand half of them
Oh,
because
wow.
they're so big and they're so complicated, but they're not. Like, you know them, we know them, but I always think, and my mentor says this, I would rather live by universal law than by man's law. That might not be popular
Mm,
amongst some people, but really, like, I think the universe knows better than, like, George over there, or like
yeah.
Harry or whoever, like, about how I should be living my life, right?
Right. Right. Of course. Of
Yeah.
course.
So I like to start with the universal law of oneness. I think that's the
Okay.
place to start. And that's what you and I talked about the other day. The first 3 laws: universal law of oneness, the universal law of polarity, and the universal law of love. So if we think about that, we have 1, 2, and 3. We start with 1. We are one. We are all one. We are all from the same place. Call it God, call it universe, call it Muhammad, call it whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
We are all one. And then we add in 2. We have the law of polarity. There becomes 2. That's where we live on earth, right? We have heaven and
Okay.
earth. Uh, we have 2 things. So we have 1 plus 2 equals 3. And that is the law of love. And it makes me think about, like, people having babies and like people making love, and like that is what the
Yeah.
universal laws, like the first 3 universal laws, are really important. Understanding that we are one, we live on we are here, heaven on earth, right? And then we have the universal law of love, and love is the highest frequency, or one of the highest frequencies that we can embody, and I am all about it.
Awesome. I love this. Oh, so good. So good. So today we really wanted to talk about numerology and kind of breaking that down. So how did you discover numerology?
So I started when I came online with my business. I met some really amazing people from Canada, and my circle has just sort of expanded from there. And they were all doing numerology, and I was like, I want to know more. Like, what's that all about? And somebody did a blueprint for me, and I was like, and somebody did a blueprint for my kid, and I was like, oh my God, this is like unbelievable. I need to know more. So I started learning tarot, and in tarot is so much numerology. So
Okay.
numerology is in everything. It's in all of our patterns. It's in all of our life, right? We are coded to be in a specific body at a specific time, and that is numerology. But I started like really getting into it. I think it was like 2017. And
Hmm.
so then in 2018, when I did the universal law certification, I also was certified in numerology. And it's like it all just goes together. Numerology, the universal laws, Reiki, they all like blend so beautifully together. And again, it's one of those things that like I'm starting to really understand that you have to become masterful. This is like
Hmm.
stuff you can learn, but like you have to keep going with it on a regular basis. It is so depthful. There's so much information to learn, and it is so I I'm absolutely fascinated by it. Hi Shelly. Hi Deanna. So glad you guys are here. Thank you. So that is a little bit about numerology. I don't know if I like sidetracked or
I love that. So for those who might not like be familiar with like what is Reiki, what is numerology, or anything in like the spiritual realm, can you give like a
yes.
basic quick
Yes,
explanation?
yes. So Reiki is energy work. It is a Japanese form of energy work. It is very ethereal. It works in the energetic body. It also works in the physical body. It is literally called universal life force energy. Okay. So Rei means universal, Ki means life force energy. If you've ever heard of Chi, then you know Ki. Okay, so Chi is just the Chinese word for Ki, which is the Japanese word for life force energy. Chi is flowing through your body. If it is blocked, you are ill. You are in disease. And Reiki helps you to move energy through the body. So that is what we do. We move energy through the body. We clear the body of any energy that's not serving us any longer. And that's the basics of it. It is a very, it's stress relieving. It works with any sort of modality that you're using. It works with Western and Eastern medicine. It's like really just a gentle across the board,
Mhm.
really amazing, really powerful process. And I love it. I've been doing it for a really long time. So Reiki is something I think everybody should be doing, everybody should have, and that everyone should be attuned to, because then you can do your own healing and you can do your own family healing. And it's really beautiful. And
I
then
love that.
numerology is the study of numbers, and it's the study of pattern, and it's like how everything shows up in the universe in numbers. I mean, like if you want to get really like you start seeing 1111 on the clock, you start seeing
Mhm.
444, you start seeing patterns in numbers and you start to see it. And it is just all patterns. It's all patterns. Everything that we have coded in our bodies shows up because of the numerology. We can see it all in our numbers, which is so cool.
So cool. I love it. Ah, good stuff. So, let's see. Let me pull up my notes so I
Mhm.
can add some pre-written questions.
Good. Thank
So,
you.
with numerology, we take people's birthdays to come up with their code, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And so since you've done my blueprint, which I love, and
Mhm.
it's like been so enlightening for me, and I highly recommend. Let us know if you've ever had like your numbers done. Put that in the comments. I would love to chat a little bit more about that. But how many of like each number is there across the world? Is there an idea of like, is there a more rare number or anything like
I
that?
love that question. I think that it's probably very equal. I
Okay.
think that it's probably very common across the board to be all kinds of numbers,
Mhm.
because you have 1 through we really look at 1 through 11. There are other forms of numerology that like go up higher, and they talk about like there's people who really get into like the 22 and other things. But in the numerology that I have learned, we have broken it all down and we really work with numbers 1 through 11, and we
Okay.
break everything else down to a single digit. And so I think that across life, people are all of the numbers. And I don't know that's a really interesting question. I don't know.
Awesome. I love that it's able to be open and we don't need all the answers, right?
No, we don't
So,
need to know.
with that, like I was thinking, because my birthday's tomorrow, right? So like I was like, I
Oh my
wonder,
gosh, that's so exciting.
I'm so excited. I was wondering how many people were born on my day in the same year, and from that, then
Mhm.
that means that they would have the same number, and it
Yeah.
had me thinking like, does that mean we all have the same calling?
Absolutely not, which
Mm,
is really a great question. So, when we break down your birthday, so tell me what your birthday is again, because I left your blueprint somewhere else.
that's totally fine.
It's
October
tomorrow.
9th,
It's 10/9. Yeah. And what's your
1989.
year? 1989. Yeah.
Night to
So,
evening.
and then you are a ruling number 10. I remember this. You have a personal day of 9. And do you remember what I told you? What's your personal year going to be?
Oh man.
Do you remember?
I don't
It's okay. You don't have to remember. It doesn't matter. So the point of the story is that we know that you're a ruling number 10, and we know that a ruling number 10 is a very happy individual. It's the 10 loves to um, the 10 is like, if the 10 is stuck, the 10 spins the wheel and like chooses something different.
Mhm.
The 10 is someone who always has people who are very attracted to them. People love your energy. People love who you are. You exude joy. That is like a very traditional 10. Now, there are how many millions of 10s out there in the world, right?
Mhm.
Now, that's when we start to get more specific and we look at other aspects of your chart where we would then find out different parts of you. Like we know that you have the arrow of frustration, which just means, and it's just a piece of sabotage for you, right? So
Mhm.
the thing that I love about numerology is it's really impersonal. Like I'm not like, "Oh, are you so frustrated?" I'm like, "Oh, your chart says that you could easily be frustrated." And then I as a coach could be like, "Let's help you to work on that." And
Mhm.
you would know that when you are feeling frustrated that there was a reason for it and then you could do something about it. I have this wonderful isolated 9 in my chart. And that sounds random and weird, but it's so what it tells me though, and the thing that this is hilarious. I think it's a hilarious thing. So I'm a number 4, which is a leader. It's the emperor. And I have an isolated 9 in my chart. And so when I was learning my blueprint, my mentor said, "Well, Jen, we know that you would make a really good cult leader." Because the 9, isolated 9, is all by itself, kind of has
Mhm.
a little bit of paranoia and it kind of isolates itself. So I know that when I'm isolating myself and I'm like feeling a little bit of paranoia, which I do, I know to reach out to a friend or a mentor and say,
Mhm.
"Is this me or am I crazy? Are people mad at me right now? Am I isolating myself?" And I know that I'm doing it now and I recognize it and then I reach out for support. This is why we love the blueprint. So the thing that's crazy is that you'll have so many different aspects of yourself as a 10, as a 4 than other people, but you'll find lots of similarities as well. It's sort of like your sun sign. Like I'm a
Mhm.
Cancer, you are a Scorpio. No, you're not a Scorpio, you're a Libra. I'm like,
Yes.
let me look at it the right way. Hold on. You're like, "Don't call me a Scorpio."
I was like, "Girl."
So you're a Libra, you get it. But there are Libras out there who are totally different from you,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah, Justin's a Libra, so and we're completely
Exactly.
different people.
Right. So you can see that there's lots of different facets that you can
Mhm.
look at. There are many different facets that we look at when we do a blueprint or a chart or whatever.
Ooh, good. So, I think I just asked that question. So how I the thing that really resonated with me with having my blueprint done was getting an idea of where my potential lies and where I can go in my journey, because that's my main reason for why I wanted to have my numbers done, was because I wanted to know, like, where am I going, and get some guidance, right?
Mhm.
So how can we ensure that we are, reaching our full potential?
That's such a beautiful, beautiful aspect. So we look at, we're really zoomed in when we look at your personality, right? We know you're a 10. Then we zoom out a little further and we look at your universal day number. It's like your special sauce. Then we look at like your individual arrows, like things that make you a very individual human being. And then we kind of zoom out a little further. We look at what your year looks like. And then we zoom way far out and we look at your karmic and your dharmic patterns. And that's what you're talking about. So we all have a period of time coded into our being that says this is when you're going to mature, just like an apple seed, right? I told you the apple seed story, didn't I? So, just like an apple seed is going to grow and it's going to bloom and it's going to bear fruit and it's going to like get all of its leaves, it's going to grow and grow and grow. and it goes through seasons, right? So do we. So do we as humans. We are the same. And we also go through seasons, and we call this your karmic and your dharmic patterns. So everyone has karma that they come to clear from past lives, whatever you want to believe. It doesn't really
Mhm.
matter. But you come in with something that you got to learn, right? You have lessons that
Right.
you're learning along the way, along the path. And then there's your dharmic path. And everyone walks a dharmic path. And the dharmic path says, this is your purpose on this planet at this time. And so we know that when we go through your seasons, is what we call them, and we understand and look at your number, and we understand that there's a theme that goes along with every number. And then you go through 9 years of learning that season, 9 years of understanding that specific lesson. And so there are many lessons that you've come to learn. And I mean, I just did a chart for somebody the other day who had like, who goes through 4, 6 seasons. That means that they came to this planet to understand what it means like, what it feels like to be a human. They came to this planet to understand what it feels like to understand love.
Mhm.
And they like, that was like, they're gonna go through, 4 times 9, 36 years of the same exact season. They really came here to learn something really potent. Right.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really powerful to understand where you're going, because when you can look at it and you can understand it, you can land into it.
Mhm.
And when you land into it, it means that you are really, you're living your best life. You can certainly not ever know your numbers, and you could just live your life and you'll be fine. It's okay. But when
Right.
you understand your seasons and you understand where you're going, it gives you a map. It gives you a blueprint of where to go. And I mean, I know for myself, I go through a 10 season, you go through a 10 season. That means that we're here for a really large spiritual purpose. And I think I would have found it regardless, but I was really flailing around.
Right.
And when I got my blueprint, it gave me direction.
Mhm.
It made me like stand up and say, I actually am confident. I am a leader. I can do this. I have a purpose. And it just gave me this like different drive to be my best self and to bring myself out into the world and put myself out into the world. Prior to having the blueprint and like a little bit of video training, there was no way in hell that I would have gotten on this right here right now. I get on live video every day now. Like I'm like, I am a leader. I'm here to be a leader. I am the emperor. I have to do it. This is part of my purpose. I have to do it. I would never, I would have been not, I would have not been self-actualized if I hadn't received this information.
Agreed. I feel like it's so powerful. Like you said, you gave us our purpose and like where
Yeah.
we're going. It's grounding. So
It's so grounding. It's really beautiful. I really appreciate it. And I
Mhm.
see, when I give people their blueprint, I'm like, oh my God, do you have any idea? Like, you cannot, like, not pay attention.
Right.
Pay attention.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly, exactly. So, I also like you mentioned that you go live every day, which you do
Mhm.
your daily pulse. How
Mhm.
does that align with like we have our own personal numbers, but now that every day has its own number as well. So how do we, I guess, balance all of that and use all of this information?
Yes, so this is really an important aspect of your chart, and also of what's happening universally. So the
Mhm.
daily pulse is something, it's just what I call it. I tap into the pulse of the universe, right? I tap in to the pulse of the earth. I feel it in my body. I hear it. I know it. I've been doing it for several years now. At first I only could write it. I couldn't really speak it. it
Mhm.
was it was something I did just for myself, and it's evolved into my daily broadcast. And now I understand that I'm meant to speak it out loud because people need to hear it and they need to resonate with my voice and they need to resonate with it. And that is a universal law, the universal law of resonance. And so these numbers, these universal day numbers, are 1 through 9. Okay. We today are on a day 4. So these are universal. We wake up every day and we just add up the day. So it's 10 plus 8 plus 2020 gives you the day number. Okay. And
Okay.
you break it down to a single digit and you follow the biorhythms. It shows you your biorhythms of your life, it shows you how you operate. Now, I am a day number 3. So my day is 712. So I'm a 1 2, it adds up to a 3, so I'm a 3 day number.
Mhm.
On a 3 day, I reset my biorhythm and I feel really good. I love it. I feel really good. It feels really right to me. I understand that day. I understand that day number. My body likes it a lot. And so I always feel really good that day. And I always, but you might not. I mean, you might feel the opposite side of it. And then on a 4 day, I'm a 4. So then on a 4 day, I sort of feel a little more ramped up too. And I like feel really good. And then on a 5 day, I kind of crash and I'm like, yeah, I don't really like this energy. It makes me feel a little anxious.
Mhm.
And I know that about myself and I plan my life accordingly. So I plan out my whole month. You can plan out a whole year, you can plan out 10 years because we always know what the day number is going to be. We always know what the month is going to be. We always know what the day is going to be. And so, what this does for us is it helps us to bring our daily rhythm, it brings conscious awareness to our daily rhythm. So,
Mhm.
instead of like feeling willy nilly with the winds of time, you really start to be able to plan for your life based on how you feel. And the way you start with it is you just start to pay attention every day. How do I feel today? And then you might want to check in. What's the number of the day? Right. So, like, then you sort of start getting more tuned in, tapped in. You're like more turned on to what is going on around you. And this is really supportive of everything that you want to do in your life. It just brings more consciousness instead of like being totally unconscious and walking through the world and wondering what the hell is going on. You have
Right.
more idea. We don't have control. I don't like to say we have control because I don't think we have any control, but it helps us to know how we're going to respond. It helps us to know how we're going to feel. There's an empowered and a disempowered side to every number.
Mm.
So if you wake up and you're like, "Oh God, I'm feeling codependent and insecure," you know that you're feeling the disempowered side of that
Mhm.
number. And you might want to be like, "Hold on, I know that the 2 really wants me to connect in and wants me to get connected to source." So you might be like, "Oh, I could just go ahead and do like a nice meditation, take a nice shower, get reconnected to myself. And then I'm going to stop feeling insecure, right? Like I recognize it. I know what's happening. I'm feeling disempowered. It's time to walk over here to the empowered side. I have a choice." And that is one of the things I love most about numerology. I used to wake up in the pit every freaking day of my life.
Mm.
I mean, not that I wasn't a happy person, but I would wake up with like anxiety about what was going to
Right.
happen and how it was going to go. And I don't wake up like that anymore because I feel empowered and confident. I have
Love that.
reclaimed myself.
That's
It's really
beautiful.
powerful.
That's really powerful.
Does
Oh
that feel
man.
like did I answer the question?
Yeah, that was really good.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Thank you. So for so we're utilizing like numerology for guidance. You also
Mhm.
use like tarot cards. So can you
Mhm.
explain how you kind of like to balance both of those or use those together?
Yes. Yeah. So tarot, like I was saying in the beginning, tarot moves through the numbers just like numerology, right? They go hand in hand. So when you're watching the numbers flow through numerology, or I mean through the tarot, you're watching numerology happen. You're experiencing numerology in that moment. So numerology and tarot are like totally simpatico. They go together. So when I wake up in the morning, I check in with the day. What does the energy feel like? What is the daily number? And then I draw 2 cards. And I draw 2 tarot cards or 2 oracle cards or whatever. But when I was really learning how to read tarot, I started just drawing 2 tarot cards so I could really understand what they meant. And that's how I do the daily pulse is I check in with the daily energy with the number and then I read 2 cards and the 2 cards are what's my focus for the day and what do I need to know about that focus? What's the supporting part of that focus for the day? And then I have a really clear vision of my day and it's easy and I can like look back at it all day long and know what my focus is meant to be. Can I come back to my focus? Can I come back to my focus? Right.
Oh, that's good. So, for those who might not be familiar, what's the difference, or by your definition, between tarot and oracle cards?
Mm. So tarot is, tarot was created in the 13th century, maybe the 12th century. I think it was in the 1200s, so the 13th century. And it was created for people because they could not read. And so people who could not read were only going to receive messages through symbology. And they all knew symbology. And actually, much of that symbology has been passed on to us just in collective consciousness, I believe, or maybe through reading, through writing and reading and all of those
Mhm.
things. But when you think about a tarot card and you read it, you people who would read tarot would maybe like go to someone to ask about something, and it's really just tapping into your morphogenic field, which is just your aura, your consciousness, and asking where I'm at right now. It's really a snapshot. There is some future telling in tarot, but that's really a myth. And it really just tells us, it just tells us, gives us information. So like, for example, I have the King of Wands here, and the King of Wands is really about like claiming your power and really owning where you are. So we know that like in the 12th century, 13th century, the color red meant passion. I would look at it as like the root chakra. We know that the lion meant courage and strength. We know that universally the wand means spiritual, like growth. That we know that all the green around it means like growing. We understand that like the salamander is like a fire salamander, so it would be like a protected, like a salamander that like has this fireproof skin. And so you take a lot of meaning from the symbols in the card, and then you receive your message. And so people back then couldn't read, and so they would read tarot, and that's how they understood how things sort of were, if that makes
Okay,
sense.
that makes
And
sense.
then oracle is really like a divination tool based in like modern times.
Okay.
So an oracle would have been like a seer. In many cultures, an oracle would be a seer and someone who had like clairvoyance. And I think those oracle cards came about from tarot so that people had a softer understanding. Tarot is a bit harsh at times. It tells you things that you don't necessarily always want to hear. And it's sort of like a slap across the face. It's like really like sometimes the messages that want to come through are not things that you want to hear. And so that's why I
Right.
actually prefer tarot, because that's where most of my personal growth has really happened.
Hmm.
Again, it's not personalized. It's like a card that's telling you the message. It's not like your coach or your friend. It's like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Why are
Right.
you doing
Right.
that?
I was like telling a friend, I was like, I feel like tarot is like your true best friend that's willing to like say the things that you need to hear
Totally. Yeah.
to like grow and be better, and call you out on your shit,
Yeah.
whereas like oracle is gonna always be that like happy friend.
The oracle is much softer.
Mm,
It's much like a, oh, look, you're doing such a
right.
good job, which we all need to hear sometimes, but
Right.
sometimes we also need to be like, pull your head out of your ass.
Exactly.
You're being a fool.
Exactly. I
Stop
love
lying to yourself.
it.
Right?
Right, exactly. So perfect. So for anyone that's like new to tarot, new to oracle, they get their first card deck, what do you recommend that they do?
Well, I mean, I teach tarot, so I recommend that they come to my membership.
Yes.
Yes, we do 2 workshops a month, and we're learning intuitively.
Mhm.
It's super hands-on, and everyone gets to read. We do a workshop every month that is a teaching workshop, and we do a workshop every month that is like you're pulling cards. You have a deck in front of you, and you got to like be like, "Hi, I got this card. I don't know what it means. Let me try and tell you."
Mhm.
Right? So you like have to start to learn your intuition. There's also amazing books out there. There's a million tarot books out there. Pinterest is amazing for like starting to learn tarot. But the thing that I really think is the most important is to use it every single day and just trust yourself. Throw out the little book that comes with the tarot deck, get rid of it, and just start like and start reading it on your own. Start using your intuition
Mm.
to start reading it. And that is really, I mean, that's the best way to do it on a daily basis. Start to get to know the cards
And you would say
and
pull
trust yourself.
two for yourself every day?
Yeah, I like to start with two. I think it's a really easy read. And you just like have these two little messages that that want to come through for you.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be some big gigantic thing. I mean, you can do huge, ridiculous spreads, which I love to do. And also, you might want to have somebody read those for you in the meantime while you're learning.
Right, of course. So you did say something earlier about like, the future telling that some people do with the tarot. So
Mhm.
can you like expand about that? And like, like I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Wine Country, but there's like totally
Haven't. Oh, yeah, no, I did see that.
and
And the
there's
woman comes with she's a tarot reader. I do remember.
yes, and like everyone thinks they're gonna die or something like that. And it's just kind of
Right, because they get the death card or something.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Okay, so there is a certain amount of forecasting that we can
Mhm.
do with tarot. But we have free will as humans, and things
Yes.
are constantly shifting and changing. So I personally don't, I mean, even like a year long spread, like I don't put as much thought into that as I would like in a month. So
Okay.
I like to do a full moon, a new moon reading, and like focus on what my next 2 weeks are going to look like. What's it going to look like as I unfold over the next couple of weeks, right?
Mhm.
How is it going to look over my next month? You can look over a quarter. Now, if you do an advanced numerology, which really starts to really work with forecasting, then you can start to look out a year, and that uses tarot and it uses numerology, but then you're really using a whole lot of other tools as well. So with tarot itself, I think because we have free will and there is so much always shifting and changing, you really want to like not like put too much like stock into anything longer out than like a couple weeks or a month.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I love
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
Thank
like,
you.
we're always changing. I'm changing every day. I mean, you know.
Yes. It's always changing, always flowing. I'm
Hi,
like,
I'm Jen.
okay,
I
cool.
just changed right now. Yeah.
It is what it is. And I guess that's
Nice
part
to
of my
meet you.
number is that like, oh well, changes happen and it is
Totally.
it's perfect. So all right. We've got like a couple minutes left. So can you speak to how people can, connect with you if they want to connect with you, work with you, what you've got going on, programs, all of that jazz?
Oh my God, I love you. Thank you. I am very accessible. I am Jen Kohler. I'm on Facebook. I don't like all of the other like things. So I'm like on Facebook. I have a group called the Co-op,
Mm,
which I actually think is the bee's knees. I think it's so
I love it.
fabulous. It's an amazing space to be. I am a Reiki master teacher, so I have a year-long Reiki school. Um, it's intuition. It's tapping into your inner healer. It's really you will learn tarot. You will learn how to balance your chakras. You will learn Reiki, Reiki 1 through master level.
How
Um,
many levels
you're going
are
to learn a
there?
lot of numerology. There are 4 levels of Reiki. Yeah, and you'll learn all of the symbols and all of the things. And then the beauty though is that I walk with you the whole time. And it's not just like, here's your weekend class, bye, see ya. The
Right.
co-op is for my teacher, is for my students to start to practice and build a business. So anyone who goes through my teaching program gets to be in the co-op and advertise for themselves however they want to. And we have people who are doing EFT in there. We have people who are doing Reiki, of course, in there. And they want to they want to help you. They want to facilitate your healing. They are amazing at what they're doing. It's amazing. So that is my goal. My vision is to have wealthy healers on the planet. And
Oh,
I
yes.
think that we should be paying our healers really well and that they should make a really freaking good living. And so that is part of my vision, is to have a space for people to do that, to build online, to understand how to build online. Healers aren't necessarily always the best business people in the world. So we
Mm-hmm.
want to help them to build their businesses and be really wildly successful. So you can find me on Messenger. You can find me in the co-op. I do have the Heal membership, and that is where we do the tarot. We do conscious conversations. You get all of me in there. It's a sweet little place, and it's super inexpensive right now. It's only $15 through the end of the year, and then the price is going to go up. But if you get in now, your price will not go up, because that's how nice I am.
I love it. And I
Yeah.
love the
So,
growth.
other ways that you can work with me, you should get a blueprint. You can get a tarot reading. You can come to me for Reiki. Although I don't do a whole lot of one-on-one Reiki unless you're like in my program anymore. But
That is beautiful. I guess one other question kind of came to me, kind of like how to use numerology and Reiki for your business. For like, like I'm connected with a lot of entrepreneurs and, a lot of healers are entrepreneurs. How do we tie that together?
Yes, I mean, so I also teach emotional mastery, universal laws as well. So all of those things I feel like go in any business. I think we all need to be more masterful in our emotions. We need to be more masterful in our energy. If you are not masterful in yourself, how are you like teaching people to do anything, is how I feel. So I think really understanding your numbers and how you walk through the world, understanding your business. I actually just did 4 business partners. I just did all of their numerology to see how they work together. I do it for
Mhm.
families. I think that everybody needs this stuff. I mean, it's like so powerful to help you to grow and to be your best self and to like be in alignment with yourself. When you are in alignment with yourself, everything falls into place or falls away.
Mm,
That's it.
that's perfect. That's beautiful. Any last words that you would like to share?
Nope, that's it.
All encompassed, all in one. Oh, this is beautiful. Thank you so much for joining, Jen. Thanks for those who are listening, watching, doing all the things. If you have questions, feel free to drop them in the comments or reach out to either one of us in Messenger. Always available to help you out and give more guidance and clarity. And of course, remember to turn on like notification bells and subscribe. Windy Vatierra's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whine about it on podcasts, all that good stuff. And of course, Jen Kohler, you can find her on Facebook and all the places as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a beautiful night, everyone.